Hey everyone, Pessmore here and welcome to Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. The court will now reconvene for the trial of Miss Lana Sky. Don't say that backwards. Emma didn't come back. Allow me to call the next witness to the stand. The officer in charge of guarding the evidence room on the day of the crime. Beacons? Oh, this guy. Witness, please state your name and occupation. Me, partner? Oh, I'm just a man, same as you, wandering the trails of civilization. Occasionally helping the elderly cross intersections when needed. Yeah, we get it. Oh, I know! You're a patrolman! As for my name, if you listen hard enough, you can hear the howling wind call it out. The moment I hear the wind say Jake Marshall, I know I'm cooked, okay? To be exact, it's Jake Marshall, Your Honor. Howling wind? I've never heard Edgeworth described that way before. Now, Mr. Marshall, let me ask you something. You were in charge of guarding the evidence room on the day of the crime. Is that right? According to the papers, partner. What do you mean? As desperado soul is as boundless as the desert sands, no paper can sum it up. Maybe it's best we get on with this quickly. Please share with us your testimony of the day of the crime. In plain old English. Yeah. Okay. My job is to keep a wary eye on the bone orchard. Bone orchard? What? They said I was supposed to make rounds 3 times a day, but that ain't my style. Besides, the room's protected by 2 security systems anyway. If I remember right, I was at the street side saloon at the time it went down. I was just an innocent traveling man. So if you're out of ammo, it's time I hit the trail. I can't say I particularly care for your attitude. Can't say for your beard, but you don't see me complaining. Wait a minute. What do you mean by 2 security systems? I mean the security cameras and the ID card reader. I reckon even a cowpoke like you knows about those. Yeah, well, what about the fingerprint-activated locks on the evidence lockers? Fingerprints-activated locks? What kind of newfangled doohickeys are those? He's not being very helpful. He's not that good with machines, or with following orders. Everyone's got their weaknesses now, don't they, Mr. Prosecutor? Yeah, his is being a frickin', I don't know, aloof, what's it called? Oh yeah, being a clueless, non-rule-abiding, cowboy, autistic person. And Edgeworth, he's just gay, I guess. This one seems like trouble. Okay, Mr. Wright, he's all yours. Mine? Oh. How exactly do you keep an eye on the evidence room? I just make sure nothing moved in the security camera monitor. That room's still so still, even time dies in there. I was just a caretaker who interfered, who interred the recordings. I never heard that word before. You interred them. Videos are nothing that useful. When the time will come, I erase tape. If nothing unusual is recorded, tapes ought to be erased every 6 hours. Each time I erase a tape, I felt like I was erasing a part of my life. This guy has a flair for the dramatic, but it isn't going to do him any good. So in actuality, you don't physically enter the evidence room? But you made your rounds on the day of the crime, right? Ain't you heard a word I said, partner? I told you that ain't my style. I'm afraid I don't understand. No desperado I know lets rules get in his way. No desperados I know join the police force. So, Officer Marshall, on the day of the crime, just between you and me, I didn't set foot in the evidence room that day. There was a rubber glove stuck in the victim's locker. Do you know anything about it? Sorry, partner. Can't say I do. I haven't been in that crypt in weeks. How does this guy avoid being fired? I guess they're that desperate, huh? Besides, the room's protected by 2 security systems anyway. If I remember right, I was at a street-side saloon at the time it went down. Oh wait, I forgot to press, yeah. I forgot to press press. What were you doing in a place like that? I was eating spaghetti. In a spittoon? Not even angel steak lunches can beat that parlor's vongole sepia pasta. Do you mean to tell us you abandoned your duties to eat some noodles? Not all desperados eat tacos, partner. That's not what I meant. I hope this has at least taught you a lesson. Strange. This is usually where Edward says, "Did you not want to raise this year?" Out of ammo, Officer Marshall. That's right, partner. Or as you call it, evidence. If you plan to pin me to the crime, then you better draw. Otherwise, you're just wasting my time. My steel horse is waiting to carry me back west to the sunset. One thing seems clear. Despite being responsible for guarding the evidence room, the witness doesn't appear to have seen anything. Texans don't take orders from anyone. Everyone knows that. Apparently your superiors don't. Okay, I have a trump card up my sleeve, so I best keep my cool. Before I use it, better up the ante. Officer Marshall, doesn't it strike you as odd? That is, you being called to testify like this? After all, you weren't in the security room at the time of the crime. And yet you dragged me down here. Explain yourself, bitch. It's quite simple. You left a very large trail behind at the scene. Or to be exact, a handprint. Listen real good, partner. Like I said, I'm the caretaker of that crypt. I pay my respects. That is, make my rounds about once a month. It's only natural my fingerprints would be there. I only wish it were, officer. But you see, your fingerprints were covered in blood. Witness, what's the meaning of this? You have blood-stained fingerprints at the crime scene? The blood was swept away. However, a luminol test clearly revealed this. Well? Seems to me there ain't a person in this room with a head on his shoulders. I take it you have an explanation then, Officer Marshall. About the blood-stained fingerprints? Very well. Begin. Like I said, it's only natural for my fingerprints to be at the evidence room. One more of them just happened to be at the same place as the blood-stained handprint. The murderer touched the locker with my fingerprint was by chance. I said that wrong, but whatever. The bloodstain and the fingerprints were completely unrelated. Or did you know that the murderer was wearing gloves. See? I had nothing to do with it. The witness's explanation appears valid, although there's room for doubt. Life wouldn't be fun without any doubt, partner. The defense may now cross-examine the witness. This guy's hiding something. I can feel it. Now's my chance to prove it. That's because you... How do you put it? Pay your respects once a month. Yeah, that's right. That and one more thing. That locker happens to be mine. What? What do you mean? I mean what I said. That's the locker I used when I was a detective. The locker I still use. And all that's in there now is a heap of broken dreams. I see. It'd be strange if my prints weren't all over that locker. Apparently, his fingerprint data was never removed from the locker's programming. He must have been using the fingerprint lock all this time without ever knowing. Okay. So then, what about the bloody handprint? Was it mine? It's no mystery. Please explain. My locker's covered with my fingerprints. Just so happened. The chances of that happening are 1,000,000 to 1. On the contrary, one could argue the opposite. The chances of that not happening are 1,000,000 to 1. Get one thing straight, partner. You ain't gonna get no reward from me with a mere fingerprint. You wanna know why? Unrelated. They're as different as night as day. Kinda like cereal and cereal. One's gotta do with breakfast, whilst the other with murder. He's right! Although seemingly alike, they're totally different. I don't see why homonyms have to do with this. How do you know that? I may be a loner, but I still do my jobs. I keep up on the report. There was a bloodstain at the scene, thought to be left by the murderer. That's right. It was found on Gumshoe's locker. However, no fingerprints were detected on the handprints. Oh yeah, I think you tried that too. So that would mean the murderer wearing gloves happened to place their hand on top of Officer Marshall's fingerprint. That's the only logical conclusion. Are you starting to get the picture, partner? The picture? The seal of blood in the desert. It's just a fool for the buzzards. There's one reality, and that's this. The security tape. So long as my trail ain't here, you can't say otherwise. This isn't getting us anywhere, right? Please consider carefully where you're going with this cross-examination. Yes, Your Honor. Now? Now then, continue your testimony. What do you mean by that? You want to tie me to this crime? Is that right, partner? If so, that video is the only direct evidence you have. But that video is next to useless. It's full of blind spots. Blind spots? Places you can't see. The camera's panning back and forth. The floor isn't shown. If someone was familiar with the camera's position, they could leave the room without being caught on tape. We don't have time for your speculations, bitch. Well, Mr. Wright, if you can show us evidence in the video that indicates Officer Marshall was present, please do so now. Very well. Allow me to point out your mistake, Officer Marshall. Tread carefully, Mr. Wright, or you might wind up being the one who makes a mistake. Now then, let's have another look at the video. Okay. I pressed the wrong button. Shit. Gotcha, bitch. Bringing our attention back to the security camera is a mistake I'm afraid you'll soon not forget, Officer Marshall. These days are short in Texas, and so are our tempers. Could you sum up what you have in 8 words or less? Very well. You can clearly be seen in the video. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Ooh, damn! Exactly 8 words. Not bad, partner. The key lies in a certain locker shown in the video. This could be a video with Nuke's top 5, with him saying, "Did you see it?" Was it really Jake Marshall who opened the locker, or just an elaborate hoax? You decide. But I'm deciding that he did do it. That locker with the white cloth sticking out, that was the witnesses, I believe. Now then, let's rewind the video a bit. Okay, just please hurry, you know, I'm tired. Oh, the white cloth! It's gone! What's the meaning of this, Officer Marshall? When the crime took place, the white cloth wasn't there. Then it suddenly appeared. There's only one explanation. A ghost. Officer Marshall, you were in the evidence room at the time of the crime. What's more, you opened your locker when the camera was turned away. Order! Order! Don't think that it would— Hold it, partner. But you got the wrong man. So what if my locker was opened? That doesn't mean I'm the one who opened it. The murderer needed to hide something, so he opened the locker and stuck it in. It's not my fault he happened to choose mine. Why is everyone staring at me like I'm a wanted man? 'Cause you are. This guy isn't just playing around. He really doesn't know. I hate to rain on your parade, but you're the only person who can open that particular locker. Oh yeah? I'll call your bluff. You say you opened the locker? Now prove it. Okay, where is it? Oh, there. Fingerprint sensor. We talked about this earlier today. The lockers can only be opened by the detectives they belong to. What kind of crazy talk is this? Well, Detective Gumshoe did mention something about this. I see another choice coming up. In any case, the locks aren't that obvious. There are even some people in the force that don't know about the fingerprint locks. So, Sheriff, what do you have to say in 8 words or less? I only got 1 word for you, partner. No! Huh? Order! Order! Witness! Explain yourself! If this is a joke, it's the worst joke I ever heard. I assure you this is no joke, Officer Marshall. Now then, please tell us what you were doing in the evidence room at the time of the crime. I do not know what he's biting on, but it looks like jerky. Or his shoe, I don't know. Olé! Please answer the question. What is he now? A bullfighter? That's alright, Officer Marshall. I believe we can figure the rest out from here. We can? Okay, I can. Oh, have a look at these floor plans. Yes. Have a good look at them. There's no place for someone to hide in the evidence room. Yet Officer Meekins didn't see Officer Marshall. If that's so, then what was the witness? It seems Mr. Wright has an answer. That's right. The only possible conclusion. Well then, let's hear it. I love the save function. Where was Officer Marshall at the time of the crime? Take that! Officer Marshall was standing right here. There? But that's what the victim, Detective Goodman, was. Correct, unless the man wasn't Detective Goodman. I believe the victim in the video is Officer Marshall. It was you dressed up like a Detective Goodman. But that's preposterous. Officer Meekins witnessed the detective at the crime scene. Once he saw the man's face, he'd know for sure. May I point out that Officer Meekins did not know Detective Goodman. He also testified about the man's reaction when confronted. I did not expect to get that shit pulled on me in this episode, but I guess here we are. Something about the officer's story puzzled me. If the man had his ID card, why didn't he just show it? Yes, he would have needed it to enter the evidence room, so he must have been carrying it. The answer is simple. He couldn't show it. As you can see, Goodman's picture is on his ID card. Oh, I get it! If he showed it, his cover would be blown. Officer Meekins would have realized the man wasn't Goodman. Do you have anything to say about this, Marshall? I mean, guess not. I am anticipating for one of those choices to come up. You got quite an imagination, partner. You got a term for that. It's called circumstantial evidence. Circumstantial evidence? He's still denying it. Gonna have to do better than that to break a detective. Unless you have hard evidence proving I was dressing up as the victim. You are fucking biting leather. How are you not? I can't say I particularly care for your uncooperative disposition. I can't say I care for your beard when you don't see me complaining. Well, Mr. Wright, you have any evidence proving beyond a shadow of a doubt? I'm just saving for the 20th time in the same minute. Now, Officer Marshall dressed up as the victim. Well, who am I kidding? I don't have anything like that. Can't see the fear in your eyes, partner. I can see you chewing your fucking shoe, bitch. Seems you're the one who couldn't take the desert heat. This can't be happening. It's so obvious he's the one. What can I do? It looks like your lack of experience has finally been exposed. I'll pass on to you what someone told me when I was just starting out. When you run into a wall with no place to go, return to the basics. The basics? For me, that will be what Mia used to tell me. Try thinking outside the box. I shouldn't look for proof that Officer Marshall was in disguise, but rather, I should look for evidence that came about because he was in disguise. What do you think this locker was open in the first place? What do you mean? There's no reason for Marshall to open his locker at the time of the crime. Yet he did, despite the chance it might be discovered later as it has been. Which means he didn't originally plan to open his locker. According to the defense's argument, Officer Jake Marshall dressed up as Detective Goodman at the time of the crime. Then after the crime was committed, he opened his own locker for some unknown reason. The fact that with a white cloth was sticking out of the locker seems to indicate that he opened it in order to put the clothes inside. So, what exactly is this piece of cloth? Perhaps the video was the key to all our unanswered questions. I don't have any evidence, so the video is my only shot. Okay. Very well. Let's take another look at the security tape. After committing the crime, the witness opened the locker to put away the white cloth. I didn't even see. Okay. For some reason, you disguised yourself as Detective Goodman and entered the evidence room, though I don't know what to end yet. Oh. Yet? However, something unexpected happened. Officer Meekins barged in on you. When asked to show your ID card, you pulled a knife on him. However, Officer Meekins panicked, and the white coat you were wearing was soiled with blood. A bloody white coat. You couldn't just walk out like that, so you hid the coat in your locker. Not bad, partner. Now then, Officer Marshall, are you ready to tell us the truth? No saving. Not yet. Looks like I underestimated y'all. I hope you're happy now, Edgeworth. 2 years ago, if you were only half as persistent as you are today, we all wouldn't have to be here now. Now would we? Officer Marshall, tell the court what you did. All of it. Alright, then. Seems time has come. I had to do it that day. Couldn't just stand by and let it die. I stole the detective's ID and dressed like him. I planned to take out the evidence. I wasn't expecting Officer Meekins. I knocked him out. I managed to escape. I knew which areas wouldn't be caught on camera. There wasn't any murder in the evidence room at 5:15. So the supposed victim was really you. But there's one thing I still don't understand. Traces of a large quantity of blood were found on the floor of the evidence room. If no one was murdered, then how could that be? Officer Meekins managed to cut his own hand. My guess is he's the donor. It was way too much blood for such a small donation. When you say it, you mean... Do you even have to ask, partner? The SL9 incident. 2 years have passed since the case was closed. It was going to completely end with the transferal that day. Not if I had anything to do with it. That incident's not over. But what did you hope to accomplish by sneaking into the evidence room? When the case is closed, only that case's lead detective can look through the evidence. I wanted to have a look at it myself one more time, no matter what the cost. I don't care if anyone says it, partner. That case is mine. But Officer Marshall wasn't in charge of that investigation. Why does he care so much about it? That day was my last chance. That's why Why did you disguise yourself as Goodman? If I didn't make it look like Goodman was carrying out the evidence transferal, I'd be arrested for stealing evidence, which wouldn't get me anywhere. So you did it to fool the security camera. And the detective's ID card? I stole that the morning of the incident. So that really was why Goodman started filing out that lost item report. I returned his ID card, left it on the floor in the prosecutor's office parking lot. The ID card I found was left there by Marshall. So essentially, you managed to succeed despite your lack of foresight. What do you mean, partner? I mean, the fingerprint-activated lock, of course. No matter how well you disguise yourself, can't change your fingerprints. Under normal circumstances, you wouldn't have been able to open that lock up yourself. But he could because a rubber glove just happened to get stuck in the lock. That means Goodman must have opened the locker before Marshall. He pulled a knife on him and tried to drive him off? Let's just say I was a little surprised. I only planned on being in the evidence room for no more than 5 minutes. Didn't think anyone would actually come in during a short time. Officer Meekins certainly is a 1 in a million type of person. Mistaking a detective for an intruder, he demanded to be shown his ID. I'll have to think a little more about his raise this year. Yay, Meekins! Good for you! You just have to not go to jail first. When did Edgeworth get so much influence? Like the alcohol influence or compassion influence? Anyway, he threw himself at me and I ended up cutting him slightly. I'm sorry it had to turn out that way. It's me knocking him out and everything. By the way, what happened to the knife? Oh, you mean this one? I don't know what to say. So you knocked Officer Meekins out and... So you did your research beforehand. Those who go into the desert unprepared don't live long, partner. I don't think it would make a difference though. The tape is erased every 6 hours, and if all had gone as planned, no footage would have been left. However, you bloodied your coat in your struggle with Meekins. If someone was in the security room when I came out, the jig would have been up. I opened my locker and stashed it in there. What was Officer Meekins doing during that time? What else? He was sleeping like a baby. So what you're saying is, on that day... But the blood found at the scene certainly indicates a crime took place. Yeah, assault. What are you, blind? The victim shown on the tape is me and I'm not dead yet, partner. So you stole the evidence from the locker. Actually, no I didn't. Why not? When I opened the locker, the evidence was already gone. What? Mr. Edgeworth, where is that evidence? It's still missing, Your Honor. Detective Goodman's locker was already empty. Someone else stole the evidence. Officer Marshall, May I ask you one thing? Fire away, partner. It's a free country. Just remember, I'm also free to decide whether or not to answer. Why did you do this? Stealing a detective's ID, injuring a police officer? This is no small offense. Moreover, you're an officer yourself. This will have serious consequences. It can't be forgiven with a simple cut in salary. Not that salary cuts are even a valid solution. Like I said, this isn't your case. This one's mine. And I'll do anything it takes to get an answer I'm satisfied with. The witness has an unusual amount of zeal. Let's hear more. That case was solved 2 years ago, right? That's the reason the evidence was stored in the evidence room. Joe Dark was convicted for his crimes. One thing I can say for sure is that he deserved his sentence. I remember the Joe Dark case. It involved serial murders, right? I don't intend to complain about how it turned out, but there's something that still bothers me. Something went down at the trial. Something no good. Something no one will talk about. What happened? I don't know. That's what I'm trying to find out. Why is he so concerned with the incident? Maybe I should present him with what I think is his real reason. I have a feeling we'd end up here sooner or later. Everyone here is involved in some way to the case. I'm going to take another look at the files. Officer Marshall, I think I understand. They can know why you care so much about the SL9 incident. Sounds like you've been sipping too much cactus juice. Cactus juice, partner. I mean, we kinda know what happens if you sip cactus juice thanks to Sokka from Avatar The Last Airbender, the good series. You know? I mean, honestly, it's lit. I would if I could. I have the SL9 incident file here. The name Marshall is mentioned in here. In a list of murder victims. Neil Marshall. Are you related to this man? Neil Marshall. Yeah, I'm sure you've heard the name. 2 years ago. He received the same lousy prosecutor award you got. What? A prosecutor? He must have been talking about the King of Prosecutors award. Wait, really? Let me see. Okay. Yeah, I don't see it, no. Now I remember. Prosecutor Neil Marshall. He handled the SL9 case before I did. That's right. He was killed. And the case fell into your hands. But what's his relation to you? He was my brother. He was investigating the murders with Diamond Gant, the then Deputy Chief of Police. The group of detectives I was part of worked under them. We were desperate to prosecute the killer. Joe Dark. My brother fought Dark and was killed. That was the first time Dark left behind any evidence. It's all we needed. He was arraigned and incarcerated. The case was finally closed. At least, according to the public records. What do you mean? My brother couldn't have been killed by Joe Dark. I knew my brother better than anyone. No one could have beaten him in a fight. And that's it. That's your reason for your insane actions? There's more to my brother's death than what the records say. No matter how much you try to hide it, you can't fool me. Well, at least one thing's for certain. Now we know what happened to the police department on the day of the crime. That was the last day of the SL9 case could be reopened. Not satisfied with the resolution, Officer Marshall planned to steal the evidence. Disguised himself as Goodman, he entered the evidence room. Officer Meekins confronted him, so he rendered him unconscious and fled, while he bled. Yes, this mystery has finally been cleared up. No murder took place at the department that day. The things that happen by chance never cease to amaze. At exactly the same time as the murder at the prosecutor's office, this fake murder was going on at the police department. Chance? It's got to be more than that. So if no one was murdered at the police department on the day of the crime, that means the murder in the prosecutor's office parking lot was the real one. Which in turn means only one person could have committed the crime. Chief Prosecutor Lana Sky. Don't say that backwards. But wait! A verdict wasn't reached in yesterday's trial. Which is why we examined the incident at the police department today. But there's only one reason the defendant was not convicted yesterday. There yet remained the mystery of the simultaneous murder at the police department. It seems to me this boy's got the draw on you, partner. All of the mysteries at the police department have been resolved. No doubt about it. Our sole murder took place at the prosecutor's office. The only suspect, Lana Sky. And the testimony of one Miss Angel Star is completely inconsistent. If you have a response, make it a single word or less. Fuck. I rest my case. It seems this trial has reached its conclusion. There's no room for doubt. Well done, Mr. Wright. Thanks to you, I don't need to waste my time. Disproving all the alleged murder at the police department. There's no doubt what I proved today is true. I'm scared it will all happen. The apparent murder on security camera's tape was fake, but I didn't realize that would end up proving Lana guilty. Now then, the time for the verdict has arrived. The court finds the defendant. Oh, hi Emma. Your Honor, wait! Emma? The defense has an objection. A scientific objection. Right? What do you mean, right? Mr. Wright, are you this girl's guardian? Your Honor, in a sense. Please, Your Honor, all I'm asking is for a minute of your time. Please hear me out. Mr. Edgeworth, please. I don't want to leave any loose ends. You want a minute? I'll give you 3. Damn. He's nice this time. I was kind of in shock. I mean, finding out the SL9 incidents referred to the Joe Dart killings. Now that she mentions it, the names of both Sky's sisters were in the file. That's when I figured it out. I mean, what Officer Marshall was trying to do that day. So I knew his fingerprint had nothing to do with the crime. There left only one thing. The other handprint. Even the traces of blood found on Detective Gumshoe's locker. But no fingerprints were found on it, right? No, but I figured it out scientific. But if I could... no, but I figured if I examined it scientifically, I'd be sure to find a clue. So I ran over there and looked at it again. So did you find something? No. Huh? Sorry. I guess I'm not much of a scientific investigator after all. Is that all? Please don't be mad. I'm just a high school student. And I'm just an attorney. But Mr. Wright, those traces of blood are the only clue we have. If you can't find something wrong with them, please, Mr. Wright, you're a professional. If anyone can save Lana, it's you. Me? Oh boy. Time's up. Now then, Mr. Wright. With regard to the incident at the police department, does any reasonable doubt remain? It appears the defense is troubled by the other blood mark. Looking at the floor plans, a handprint was discovered around here. Is there a problem with this? Mr. Wright, I'm sorry can't be of more use. But still, if you can't find anything wrong with the blood mark, Lana will be... Please answer my question right. We don't have all day. Okay. Yes, Your Honor. If I ever needed to concentrate, it's now. What could be wrong with the handprint on Gumshoe's locker? Could there be something missing? This handprint left at the crime scene clearly shows a contradiction. The only thing that seems clear is you're grasping, right? You've been staring pretty intently at the floor plans. Tell me, is there a problem with them? Yes, this is strange. Take a good look at the floor plans. Something is missing. Missing? You mean something hasn't been drawn on there? Yes, something that, when drawn, will completely change the meaning of the blood mark. Let's pray the defense isn't simply trying to buy time. Very well, Wright. There's all this evidence here. There's gotta be something I can use. What about that piece of plywood? The Blue Badger, mascot of the police force. Defender of truth, guardian of proof. Wait, is that really the answer? Or am I tripping? Explain yourself right. Please look at the floor plans of the crime scene. The Blue Badger is not here. So watch what happens when you put him in. This is where he was dancing at the time of the crime. Well, what? Oh, that's right. So long as the Blue Badger is dancing here, it would be impossible to place a handprint at the spot of the locker. Wait, what? Yeah, I'm confused. So that means, just what exactly does it mean? It means it can't be done. What are you saying? Blood traces were undeniably found at the locker. Don't look at me. I didn't put it there. Mr. Wright, think through it scientifically, yes. And save as well, just in case. Emma. Oh, she's back. On that afternoon, Officer Meekins was the one who brought the Blue Badger to the evidence room, right? After he put it down, it would be impossible to leave a handprint on that locker. That must have been this blood mark. It was left there before the Blue Badger was brought in. Just one moment. I will not allow such a far-fetched balderdash in my courtroom. It may sound far-fetched, Your Honor, but it's the only possible explanation. On February 21st, in the police department's evidence room, blood was spilled not once, but twice. But how? One time was captured on this tape, taken by the security camera. Officer Meekins cut his hand, from which a trivial amount of blood fell. The problem is, the other time, someone bled prior to the struggle shown in this tape. It had to have been Detective Goodman when he was really murdered. Ridiculous. I refuse to accept your absurd claim. Yes, the murder portrayed in the security tape has been proven to be fake. However, that does not explain the murder, the blood mark found on the locker. So then, assuming this murder you purports really happened, purports? When did it take place? I demand you show evidence that proves when it occurred. When did the first incident occur? To summarize, the defense claims that prior to Officer Meekins being cut by Jake Marshall, who was posing as Goodman, another incident took place in the evidence room. That's right, the blood mark on the locker proves this. Very well, then tell us. When did this first incident occur? As Mr. Edwards said, proof must be presented. Proof that shows when the murder took place. Yes. There's one evidence that shows that. Okay. If the crime took place inside the evidence room, then the killer would have had to enter it. And in order to do so, an ID card would have been required. An ID card? Oh! The ID card record! Officer Meekins brought the Blue Badger panel into the evidence room at, let's see here, 4:50 p.m. If the crime took place before that time, then it would be 4:40. Ah! Huh? No, I still don't get it. Miles Edgeworth! What have you done? Never would have figured you had the nerve, boy. Drop the act, witness. Doesn't take a lot of thought to figure out it couldn't have been me. Nah, I ain't getting it. I'm afraid I don't understand either. It's clear from the luminol test that blood was there. However, when the second crime took place, both Officer Meekins and Officer Marshall failed to notice the blood. That means the blood from the first case was wiped away by the real murderer. I would have had 10 minutes to murder the victim, carry his body away, and clean up the blood. Unfortunately, that's not scientifically possible. That would mean the crime must have taken place before Edgeworth entered the evidence room. Let's take a look at the chart again. There's only one other card number remaining. The 7s. Talk about a lucky number. But wait, that doesn't make any sense. How could Goodman have entered the evidence room? Since there's no record of his card being used beforehand, he must have entered along with the real murderer. That's the only plausible explanation. He went in with that guy. Edgeworth, please look into this ASAP. Find out whose ID number is 777777. That's 1 7 too many, Your Honor. Fortunately, I'm unable to look up the owner of the ID card. At least at present. What? Explain yourself, son. The ID number belongs to someone with a rank of captain or higher. Someone who was a so-called executive officer. We don't have the authority to inquire such a person's identity. That's ridiculous. Just how? I'm not finished talking, Wright. There is one situation in which we can be granted such authority. If an official charge filed against an executive is accepted. An official charge. You're all alike, aren't you? With your cover-ups and your forgeries. That's how the prosecutor's office operates. I take pride in my work, Marshal. I would appreciate it if you keep your slander to yourself. Slander, huh? Okay. Let me ask one question. Who updated the autopsy report? Yeah? No, not to you. To her. The defendant sitting over there. Your own little executive. Lana? Don't be stupid. She's been charged with murder. Of course, we looked up her ID number. And it's not 7777777, yeah, whatever. Don't play me for a fool, partner. That's not what I asked. All I want to know is one thing about that incident. The SL9 incident? Answer me this, Chief Prosecutor. In the trial 2 years ago, did you really only use legitimate evidence? Do you need the witness to repeat his question, Prosecutor? I heard him fine, Mr. Edgeworth. 2 years ago, I was in charge of this prosecution for the trial. At the time, occasionally, we felt the powerlessness of the law. At least, I did. Lana? I became a prosecutor in order to suppress crime with the law. But before I realized it, we were the ones being suppressed by the law. Defendant, just what are you saying? I'll ask you again, Chief Prosecutor. During that trial 2 years ago, did you really present all the evidence in court? Can you look me, an investigator in the crime, in the eye and say you did? Chief Prosecutor, you didn't. I don't have to, Officer Marshal. Why won't you answer him? Drastic crimes require drastic measures. That's just the way it is. We did what we had to, in order for him to get the verdict he deserved. But Lana! Even if it involved forging evidence. See? That's what I'm talking about. No. No! Lana's remarks caused quite a stir. The chaos in the courtroom could not be quelled. The conclusion of the trial would have to wait till the following day. Whew, okay, that was intense. But I mean, wasn't it obvious that the chief prosecutor was using fake evidence? Like, it was so obvious. Like I knew she did, you know, so that wasn't exactly a surprise or shocker, you know. But yeah, I guess I failed the video evidence thing a lot. So yeah, it took me quite a while to spot the claws. And the blue badger thing, I did not expect the blue badger to actually be a valid arguments, but here we are. This is a really long chapter. Holy shit. I mean, I guess the chapters just keep getting longer, you know? I guess. Oh well, with that being said, thank you so much for watching my playthrough of Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. And if you like what you see, stay tuned and stay awesome. Good night.